What is excellence from a technical point of view? Well, from a technical point of view, quite simply, it's when our customers put us in the top 25% of those people they deal with. Now notice at the bottom of that slide, there's a little star and it says internal as well as external customers. So when you're running a large organisation, you really must look at your own people as part of your customer base. And they have a huge influence. In fact, at one particular time, Rank Films made a film about Who Lost the Sale? And it showed how many times internal customers had been neglected and had effectively corrupted the image of the organisation with their external customers as a result. So internal and external customers must go together. So excellence is when those customers put us in the top 25% of those they like to deal with. What stands between our business and excellence? A tremendous amount, an absolutely tremendous amount. The world is going through an enormous amount of change at the moment. It has never been so chaotic before. It's chaotic in two dimensions. The first thing is that we can see what's going on elsewhere in the world and other people can see us. And technology is making the world one place as opposed to a whole range of different places separated by distance and time. I mean, for example, when I was a young man, going to South Africa took us 2 weeks. At the weekend, getting here to Kenya took me 7 hours. The difference is just staggering, and it has shrunken the size of the world enormously in doing so. And there's that famous Chinese curse which actually says this is not necessarily always a good thing. May you live in interesting times, say the Chinese. I wouldn't mind betting at the present moment, having just come back from the United States and seen the depth of their recession. Let me tell you about the depth of their recession. It's so severe that they are debating not whether they should, but how big the check should be. They want to give a check, a rebate on taxation to every single family in the United States, in the hope they're going to spend that money and get the consumer side of the market working again. They're not arguing as to whether they should do it, they're arguing just as how big the check should be, which is incredible. The United States at the present moment is in dire trouble, and I wouldn't mind betting that if we could see the current figures, it's going to be China. Now this is an interesting one because this is a quotation from William Shakespeare, and it's all about that when the sea is calm, any boat can float. But when it starts to get rough, you really need a rugged craft to survive. And this is what we're saying, because we are looking at the present moment at a recession. So just as my grandfather had recommended, we do need very much to be able to adapt ourselves to those circumstances, not try and do what we were doing during the boom, but to do something different which will help us survive. Tell me, just a little round the room here, in terms of your businesses. As the recession has started, has your business been affected? Some of the skills that we're going to have to learn, and learn quickly, we'll be touching on as we go through these next 2 days. It's a beautiful thing, competition, and I think in the long run it will be a benefit to us all. I mean, one of the problems 100 years ago, when the United Kingdom was the biggest empire, was that empire was not just in terms of countries, it was in terms of trade as well. Very little change took place. They were doing what they always did because they'd always been successful. But things have changed. You can't do what you always do and be successful today, because the circumstances today are different from what they were yesterday even. Customer tastes are changing so rapidly. And then the price of oil. That's the big problem at the moment, the price of energy, not just of oil, because if oil goes up, alternative fuels go up as well. What's causing the steep rise in the price of oil at the moment?
I think it's over exploitation of the natural available resources.
Yes, but what's causing the rising price? I mean, exploitation of other natural resources is occurring because people are being driven in that direction by the high price of oil. But why the high price of oil?
Because the demand is higher.
Say what?
The demand is higher because of
the demand is high, or is supply low? Certainly it's a matter of demand being greater than supply, but has demand risen or has supply declined?
Both.
Both?
Yes.
Okay, tell me how supply has declined.
What I would say is that supply, when you compare, no, it couldn't have increased, but the rate of demand is increasing at a greater rate.
That is what's happened.
Than supply.
Yeah. Well, two things have happened. You're absolutely right in your first judgment, but you couldn't link it together.
Yeah.
In fact, supply has declined, but the price of oil has been so low that the oil companies have cut back on exploration and building refineries. And it takes 15 years from the moment they decide to build a new refinery before it's on stream. 15 years from one to the other. And so for the last 20 years or so, the oil industry has not been investing because the price of oil has not been profitable enough. Now, with China coming on stream and India, those two together, which we'll hear a bit more about in a moment, with those two coming on stream, demand has rocketed and supply is limited. Now, I don't know if you've been reading the papers, suddenly they've discovered there's huge deposits of oil off Brazil, of all places. Brazil being the place that had so little oil, they believed, that they had to generate their own ethanol to run cars in the country. They didn't want to be an oil-dependent economy. Now, suddenly, they find they've got oil, huge amounts of oil. And it's only because people have been forced to start prospecting again.